Hello everyone, this is Dr. Ghanasham Chavan. Welcome back again in another session of Social and Preventive Pharmacy. So, in this presentation, we will discuss regarding the disorders of vitamins. In the last session, we have discussed regarding the disorders of proteins, fats, and carbohydrates and their metabolism. So, students, in this presentation, we will discuss regarding the disease which occurs due to the scarcity of various vitamins. The vitamins are especially fat soluble vitamins and water soluble vitamins. In the fat soluble vitamins, the vitamins like vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E, and vitamin K. Now, in case of water soluble vitamins, the vitamin B complex, it is a large category in which the various classes are there in vitamin B and vitamin C. Now, this is the summary of vitamin deficiency states of various water soluble vitamins. So, in that various vitamins are available, for example, vitamin B1, B2, B6, B12, B9, B3, and vitamin C. So, here we will start from the vitamin B1. So, it is also called as thiamine. The dietary supplements are cereals, means the various cereals we are using in your daily life: milk, eggs, fruits, yeast, attracts. And the consequences of disease are beriberi. Beriberi was very common in the ancient era. In that, the various symptoms like numbness and the swelling of the bones, swelling of the arms, shortness of the breath, after that weakness, loss of appetite, this was the symptoms which generally the patient was suffering from. Next consequences are neuropathy. It is also one of the very common disorder which may occurs into the B1 deficient patients. It is nothing but the pain into your arms and legs. It occurs due to the neuronal damage. The damage into your nerves has been occurred, due to which you are not able to hold the chalk, you are not able to walk properly because lots of pain is here and also the nerve damage is there. You cannot stand on your leg for longer period. Cardiac failure, it is also one of the problems which may occurs, which may leads into the cardiac insufficiency, and the cardiac arrest may occur due to the cardiac infarction, or the myocardial ischemia also will develop. Next is Korsakoff's psychosis. This Korsakoff psychosis may develop in the patients which was earlier suffering from this Wernicke's encephalopathy. So, out of them which was not cured, 80% people are suffering from this Korsakoff psychosis. Now, this Korsakoff psychosis, if you will see, the patients who are having large intake of alcohols from ancient time, means from so many years, they are using it for more than years, they are using alcohol in their daily life, they may suffer from this Korsakoff psychosis. In this, the conditions like mental confusion and the disorientation will occur, and the specialty of this disease is that the patient may have the two types of amnesia. Either it may be retrograde amnesia or anterograde amnesia. The anterograde amnesia means the person will lose his memory for that typical incidents, typical period. Retrograde amnesia is nothing but the patient may revert back that memory by recalling or by identifying or by giving the very any hint of that specific memory. So memory loss may be there in these conditions. Another condition is that Wernicke's encephalopathy. So, my dears, this is the condition which is characterized by the three specialized symptoms. In that, first is confusion, and the second types of symptom is nothing but the ataxia. What is ataxia? When our brain is not going to be coordinate with our whole body, with our muscles, with our other organs, arms, legs, and there is a disorientation between your arms, means your whole body and your brain. That typical condition is called as ataxia. And the third one is nothing but the confusion and nystagmus. What is nystagmus? Nystagmus is nothing but it is the uncontrolled default movement of eyelids. When the eyeballs are moving uncontrollable without any reason, they are moving unnecessarily. So it occurs in these Wernicke's encephalopathy patients, and it occurs due to the when you are not taking this B1 vitamin for the longer period. That's why you should include that vitamin into your diet. Now next vitamin is B2, riboflavin. The dietary sources are cereals, milk, egg, fruits and liver. Liver will be from the animal sources. For example, it may be from the chicken or it may be from the goat or any other animals. Now it will develop the condition like erythroplavinosis. That condition is nothing but the mucosal fissuring. Means here what happens, the fragmentation or the cut occurs into the lips, either it will be upper lip or the lower lip. So that fragmentation will occur. Next condition is chelosis. Here again it occurs due to the accumulation of the saliva into our gums and also into our cheeks, and due to which the rupture of your upper lips will occur, or at the edge of your lips the cutting or the diversion will occur. So due to which the person may have problem into speaking or eating. Next is glossitis. Glossitis is nothing but the inflammation of our tongue. So if person is having for longer period is having this callosity, it may suffer from glossitis. Next is angular stomatitis. That angular stomatitis also called as angular cheilitis. So it is the condition which may occur when you are using the dentures. What is denture? Denture is nothing but the artificial teeth. When you are using the artificial teeth on your gums for longer period, so it may develop that typical condition, due to which the accumulation of the saliva, the mucus in your mouth will be there, and it may develop the fissure, or it may develop the separation or segmentation of your cheeks. Cheek segmentation will occur due to the accumulation of that saliva, and it also leads into the infections, and pain also will be developed into your cheeks. So that's why you should not use it for longer period, or you should immediately clean after use, because it may increase the chances of the infections. So that's why in this condition it may develop. Now next is vitamin B6. It is also called as pyridoxine, and the dietary sources are cereals, milk, meat and fish. And if somebody is having deficiency of this, that person may develop into the chelosis, means again the fragmentation of your upper lips, or the fragment or the fissures will occur, and it can be revert back when you will start to consume this vitamin B6. It will revert back the condition, means the normalize will occur. Again the glossitis will be developed. It is nothing but the inflammation of your tongue, and continuous saliva secretion will be there. And next is neuropathy. Neuropathy is nothing but the when the pain is there into your arms and into your legs, and there is the breaking of the nerves, or the nerves damage will occur, and it may leads into the pain into your legs and your arms. And next is sideroblastic anemia. So this sideroblastic anemia is the specialized anemia in which the RBC count is normal, there is no problem into the RBC, but our body, our RBC is not going to be utilized the production of sufficient quantity of hemoglobin. Means the in hemoglobin the iron is not taken sufficiently, and due to which they are producing the less quantity of RBC, and that typical condition is called as sideroblastic anemia. And due to that condition, the less amount of RBC is going to be produced, which should not produce, because the iron condition is normal, RBC count is also normal, but due to the cell, our bone marrow is not able to take that iron from the liver and not able to produce the sufficient quantity of RBC in our bone marrow. So that leads into the sideroblastic anemia. Next is vitamin B12. It is also called as cyanocobalamin or cobalamin. So its content is in fish, meat, egg and cheese, and it may leads into the megaloblastic anemia. When we are having the lack of vitamin B12 into our body, or we are having the less absorption of vitamin B12 into our body, it may leads into the megaloblastic anemia. What is that condition? That condition is nothing but the when our body is producing this RBC, that RBC becomes mega in shape, means large in shape, and that typical condition is called as megaloblastic anemia. And not only RBC is going to be produced large in size, but they are produced in less in numbers. And when the RBC produced in large in size, means it becomes abnormal, means it is not able to do the transportation of oxygen and carbon dioxide, which is the main function of our RBC, and it leads into the ischemia like condition, means oxygen level has been declined into our blood. Next is subacute combined degeneration of spinal cord. So it is also another condition when the degeneration of spinal cord will occur. So in our spinal cord there is the unmyelination or demyelination of your lateral and dorsal horn will occur, and which may leads into the condition like memory loss or the condition like unconsciousness. So that is the condition can be developed. Person may become unconscious for longer period. Next is folate or B9 deficiency. So the folate which is available into the various sources, they are green vegetables like spinach or methi or like that, or various fruits. Now here the consequences regarding this, the consequences includes the megaloblastic anemia. The same, the RBC becomes large in size as we have discussed in B12. And next is neural tube defects. So it is the defects which develop into the mother's placenta, into the infants. It may develops during their developments. There is defect into the spinal cord. Spinal cord is not properly developed, and which may leads into the defect into the that typical fetus. So we have to remove that extra growth or that problem into the spinal cord. So we have to, with the help of surgery, we have to keep it normal, and due to which there is problem into the fetus, the mental deterioration will occur, or due to these defects that the spina bifida like condition will develop, and due to which there is problem into the development of the brain into the of this typical infants. Next are mouth ulcers. It is also going to produce the red patches or hemorrhoid patches are developed into the whole mouth, which may results into the ulcers. Sometimes bleeding also may occurs from the gums and the cheeks. Next is villus atrophy of the small intestine. What is that villus atrophy? It is nothing but the villi and macrovilli. They are nothing but the microflora of our small intestine, and this microflora is going to be damaged, means atrophy, means there is number of macrovilli and villi has been declined, they becomes less, and due to which there will be the less area for absorption for the food, and which may leads into the various defects into the absorption of various vital nutrients and electrolytes, and our body may suffer from the scarcity or the various nutrients will be less into our body because they are not absorbed properly. And also in these patients the condition like diarrhea will develop because whatever we are eating, it is not going to be absorbed properly, means due to the less quantity of villi, it will go fastly through our small intestine as well as fast intestine. It is pass away very fastly, and the vital nutrients are not get absorbed, not get taken, or not get not flowed or transported towards the blood into the systemic blood circulation. Next condition is niacin. It is also called as nicotinic acid. It is called as B3. So the dietary sources are meat, milk, egg, peas, beans, and yeast extracts. Now here the condition like pellagra will develop, in which the person becomes very weak and the dermal patches has been developed into the skin. Dermatitis is there, diarrhea, and also the patient may have suffering from the anorexia, and dementia is going to be developed. What is dementia? It is nothing but the loss of permanent memory. So person will lose his memory, and also mental deterioration will occur. Confused state may be there. Now next is vitamin C. It is also called as ascorbic acid. So the dietary sources are various citrus foods, mean the foods which are taste sour, and also green vegetables. And if you see the consequences, so like that scurvy. So scurvy from so many years, it is known for the vitamin C deficiency. So scurvy condition like produce, it is nothing but the swollen gums, and bleeding also occurs from the gums, and bruising will develop, weakness will develop, loss of appetite is there, and continuous bleeding is there. If you are having wound, so from the wound continuous bleeding will there. There is problem into the coagulation process because vitamin C also involved in that process. So in this patient the scurvy is there. Now here you can see pellagra. So how that looks, how it develops into the skin. So here also how these dermal patches, dermatitis has been developed. So skin becomes very pale, and the loss of moisture from the skin will occur. Now next vitamin deficiency, in which the fat soluble vitamin deficiency that we will discuss here. In that first vitamin is vitamin A. So in that dietary sources are beta carotenes in carrots, for example vitamin A, in fish, eggs, liver, and margarine. Now the consequences of deficiencies are night blindness, when we are not able to see anything in night, so it is called night blindness. And next is xerophthalmia. So it is also condition when we are having problem into our eyes. Now next is squamous metaplasia. So it is the special condition when there is the benign cell growth or benign tumor will occur into the females at the place of cervix especially, and also some part of that endometrium. And why it occurs, why the cell growth will occur? It occurs due to the sudden change into the hormones, means when that female attain to the puberty, so due to that hormonal changes, the squamous epithelial cell, that epithelial cell will going to be developed, will generate at that typical place of cervix, and that typical part will also come out. Now next is infant, mainly measles. So the infants which are suffering from the measles due to this deficiency, they may have measles like conditions because their immunity can be damaged. Now next is vitamin D. It is also called as calcitriol, and you will find these dietary sources are milk, fish, eggs, and liver, and also from the sunlight we can get this vitamin D. It will develop the condition like rickets. So what is rickets? When from the childhood, from the birth, when our body is not able to get that vitamin D and that phosphorus, that vitamin D, phosphorus, calcium, they require for our body, for our bones to strong and to develop. And in this condition the bones become very soft, they becomes very fragile, they are easy to break. So that typical condition is called as rickets, and it occurs especially in case of the children. Whereas the condition, same condition is there, it occurs in adults, that condition is called as osteomalacia. Here again the bones becomes very soft, they becomes very fragile, they are easy to break, and it occurs due to the demineralization of the bones. The minerals has been lost from your bones, the minerals like calcium, phosphorus, magnesium. So these bones are required for the strongness of your bones. And also due to the hormonal changes, if you are having less hormone in your body, that hormones are also responsible for this condition like osteomalacia. Now next is hypocalcemic tetany. It is also one of the condition which may leads into the vitamin D, this hypocalcemic tetany. So due to this vitamin D deficiency, it may develop these conditions. Now next is vitamin E. It is also called as alpha tocopherol. The dietary sources are cereals, eggs, vegetable oils, and it may leads into the neuropathy when we are not taking that vitamin E. Neuropathy we have discussed when there is damage into our nerves, especially of your leg and hand. Anemia, reduced red cell lifespan. What is normal lifespan? It is 120 days. But due to this vitamin E deficiency, the time has been reduced to 60 days or 90 days, and due to which the anemia like condition will develop. Now next is vitamin K. Its dietary sources are vegetables and liver. Now due to which the coagulation defects will develop, means blood is not going to be coagulate properly, or it takes too much time, means prothrombin time has been increased. So it is one of the defect which can be produced due to the scarcity of vitamin K. Now vitamin A, now we will discuss in details. It is a major function of vitamin A are maintenance of normal vision, regulation of cell growth, and differentiation and regulation of lipid metabolism. Vitamin A is name given to a group of compounds that include retinol, retinal, and retinoic acid, which have similar biological activities. Retinol is the chemical name given to vitamin A. It is the transport form, and as retinol esters also the storage. Vitamin A is a fat soluble vitamin, and its absorption requires bile, means bile is required for its absorption, because bile is also fat containing enzymes and pancreatic enzymes. So some pancreatic enzymes are also having there's fat containing enzymes. For example, pancreatic lipase is the enzyme which is the fat containing enzymes, and some levels of antioxidant activities in the blood. Retinol, generally ingested as a retinol esterase, and beta carotenes are absorbed in the intestine, where the beta carotene is also converted to the retinol. Retinol is then transported in chylomicrons. It is a one form of the lipoproteins is to the liver for esterification and storage. Means esterification has to be done of this retinol for its storage into the liver. Liver is the major element, major organ where the retinol can be stored. Uptake of liver cells takes place through the apolipoproteins E receptor. It is the receptor which is required for binding with this retinol. More than 90% of body's vitamin A is reserve are stored in the liver, means 90% is going to be stored into our liver, and predominantly in the perisinusoidal stellate cells. Retinol esters stored in the liver can be mobilized before release. Retinol bind to a specific retinol binding protein. It is called as RBP, synthesized in the liver. The uptake of retinol RBP in the peripheral tissue is dependent on the cell surface receptors specific for RBP. After uptake, retinol bind to the cellular RBP and the RBP is released back into the blood. Retinol may also be stored in peripheral tissues as retinol esters or may be oxidized to form retinoic acid. Now here you can see, so this is the non-veg items are here, meat predominant for vitamin A, and the vegetables, mean green vegetable like the spinach or carrot or these various beet or like this various elements are there which contains the beta carotene, right? It is the broccoli. So various veg and non-veg items are there from which you can get this retinol. So retinols are taken from the dietary sources. Now after this, now this retinol into the chylomicrons, so in the form of lipoproteins, it is the lipoprotein forms are there, they are get converted. So some are they are going into our this intestinal cell, they are developing into the chylomicrons. Now after this, the transportation to the liver will occur. This is the liver, and during the transportation they will bind to the specific receptor which is available here on the liver. It is called as apolipoprotein E receptor, and on this E receptor this retinol chylomicron will bind, and in this fashion they will bind and they will stored in the large quantity, almost 90% into your liver, and the retinol esters they will convert into the retinol esters and transported to the, and whenever our body requires, so the liver will going to be transported to the respective places, respective part. So they will transport in the form of esters, and the retinol binding proteins they will release them and it will free into the retinol, and again they can get converted to the retinol esters, and for the activation they will convert into the retinolic acid. After the oxidation of retinol, they will get converted into the retinolic acid, and they will go to the various peripheral tissues for their function, for the requirement, and the amount of retinol which is not going to be get converted into the or not oxidized, they will return back into the retinol esters, and again they will store into your liver. So in this fashion the cycle will go on continuously in our body. Now functions of vitamin A. Maintenance of normal vision. So for normal vision, vitamin A is very very important. If you are having the normal diet of vitamin A in your schedule, so you don't have to use any spec in your life. Cell growth and differentiation. Vitamin A maintenance differentiation of mucus secreting epithelium. When a deficiency state exists, the epithelium undergoes squamous metaplasia. Means squamous metaplasia will occur and differentiating into a keratinized epithelium. So that we have discussed that squamous metaplasia will develop when we are having this deficiency of vitamin A. So that it is a specialized protein cells, keratinizing epithelium cells of our this cervix part of the female genita. So in that the benign cell growth will occur, and it occurs due to the hormonal changes. Metabolic defects of retinoids, key regulators of fatty acids metabolism, including fatty acid oxidation. Adipogenesis, there is the genesis or production of the adipocytes, means the fat storing cells is going to be developed here, and the lipoprotein metabolism. Host resistance to the infections. Vitamin A supplementation can reduce morbidity and mortality from some forms of diarrhea, and in preschool children and measles, and improve the clinical outcomes. The beneficial effect of vitamin A in diarrheal diseases may be related to the maintenance of restoration of the integrity of the epithelium of the gut. Ability to stimulate the immune system. So this vitamin A also having ability to generate and develop the immune system. The photoprotective and antioxidant property also having this vitamin A. Now we will go for the vitamin A deficiency. So it will produce the various eye changes. The earliest manifestation is impaired vision. We are not able to do the proper vision, and particularly in reduced light. So during night we are having problem into the vision. Night blindness will develop, and persistent deficiency give rise to the epithelial metaplasia and the keratization. Means development of these specialized protein cells on your skin, on your epidermal cell. The cell growth will occur, the cell nodules will occur at your various body parts. The most devastating changes occur in the eyes are referred as a xerophthalmia. So there is dryness of your eye will occur. Means our lacrimal glands is not able to secrete the tears. Means eye become completely dry. Means that tears means that liquid solution, that the tears from our eye are required for the moistening of your eye, but the moisture is going to be lost from your eyes. That condition is called as xerophthalmia. The first, there is a dryness of conjunctiva. It is called xerosis conjunctiva, as a normal lacrimal and mucus secreting epithelium is replaced by the keratinized epithelium. This is followed by the buildup of keratin debris in small plaques and small opaque plaques. It is called as Bitot spots. The progresses to erosion of the roughened corneal surface, softening and destruction of cornea, and it is called as keratomalacia, and blindness ultimately. And final stage is the blindness. Person may become the blind. The squamous metaplasia in respiratory and urinary tract also may occur, and which may predisposing to infections and renal stones respectively. So it may also develop at the part of our respiratory as well as the urinary system. Hyperplasia and the hyperkeratinization of the epidermis with plugging of ducts of adrenal gland produce follicular and the papular dermatosis. Another very serious consequence is immune deficiency, because vitamin A is having great role into our immunity. So it also affects on our immunity. This is the responsible for higher mortality rates from common infections such as measles, pneumonia, and infectious diarrhea. So these measles like conditions like pneumonia and these conditions are not life threatening, but when you are having vitamin A deficiency, so they become life threatening. Means these conditions, these diseases can take your life due to lack of immunity. Even in case of this COVID condition, if you are having vitamin A deficiency, it will take your life. Means this new developed corona also can take your life very easily. Now here you can see this is the Bitot spot is there here, and it is the corneal ulcer can be developed, means redness, hemorrhagic patches are there, and it is the keratomalacia. It is the keratin, means specialized protein of epidermal cell is going to be developed on your eye, in your sclera. This is the normal cell and it is the transition cell, means here the cell differentiation will occur. So here the advanced metaplasia will be there, and which may again develop into the cancer. So this type of conditions can be developed in case of your kidney as well as in case of your eyes. Also we have discussed regarding the cervix and other parts of your body. The keratinization will occur. Vitamin A toxicity. The symptoms of acute vitamin A toxicity includes headache, dizziness means lightheadedness, means we are our head becomes very light, means we are not able to think any, means thinking ability is going to be lost. Vomiting, stupor is the condition when we are becomes very unresponsive, means we are able to give very less response, means the person becomes drowsy, become very because very weak and less responsive. And blurred vision means double vision may be there. Symptoms may be confused with those of brain tumors. It is also called as pseudotumor cerebri. Chronic toxicity is associated with the weight loss, anorexia, nausea, vomiting, and bone and joint pain. Retinoic acid stimulates osteoclast production and activity, leading to increased bone resorption and high risk of fractures. Means this retinoic acid stimulates the osteoclast, which is responsible for demineralization of your bone. Means they are releasing the ions, they are releasing the electrolytes from our bone, and which leads into the bone resorption, and due to which the bones become demineralized, the bones becomes very fragile, the bones becomes the lack of minerals, and become due to which the high risk of fractures will be there. Now we will discuss regarding the vitamin D. It is a major function of the fat soluble vitamin D is maintenance of adequate plasma levels of calcium and phosphates to support metabolic functions, bone mineralization, and neuromuscular transmission. Vitamin D is key regulator of calcium and phosphate homeostasis. As we know, the calcium and phosphates are the major elements which required for strengthening and strongness of our bone. The bone's strength, it depends on these minerals. If our bones will lack these minerals, the bones become very weak. The major function of vitamin D for human is its endogenous synthesis from the precursor 7-dehydrocholesterol is a photochemical reaction that requires solar or artificial UV light in the range of 290 to 350 nanometer. This reaction results in the synthesis of cholecalciferol known as vitamin D3. Vitamin D is produced by 7-dehydrocholesterol in the skin or ingested in the diet. It is converted in the liver into 25-OHD and in kidney into 1,25-OHD, 1,25-dihydroxy vitamin D, and it is active form of vitamin D. So it is active form of vitamin D. So it is 125-dihydroxy vitamin D. 125-hydroxy vitamin D stimulates the expression of RAKL, an important regulator of osteoclast maturation and function on osteoblast, and enhances the intestinal absorption of calcium and phosphorus in the intestine. Now in this figure you can understand how that vitamin D can be obtained from the two sources. One is either from solar sources, from the radiation. This 7-dehydrocholesterol can get converted into the pre-vitamin D3, and by heat it can be get converted into the vitamin D2, this one. And here from the dietary resources of vitamin D2 and D3, so various nutrients are able to produce the vitamin D2 and D3. So via chylomicron and the lymphatic system, so they can be transferred towards the blood vessels, and through these blood vessels they will go towards the liver. So in liver it will get converted into the 25 hydroxidase. So In liver, again it will get converted into the 25 hydroxy vitamin D, and it will go to the kidney. So in kidney, one hydroxidase will convert, and from that, with the help of the factor pi and calcium and FGF factor 23 and other factors, they will get converted into the 125 dihydroxy vitamin D, and after that it will get converted into the osteoblast. And another effect from the pituitary gland, parathyroid gland, and this parathyroid gland is able to release, it will affect on the kidney to increase the level of calcium, and in this fashion it will also work on the osteoblast. And with the help of RNKL, it is the receptor acceptor of nucleic factor kappa ligand. So with the help of this ligand, it will get converted into the rank, and pre-osteoblast can be developed, and which is responsible for maturation of osteoclast, and this osteoclast is responsible for bone resorptions, mean it is responsible for demineralization of the bones, and from the bones the calcium can be released, calcium and phosphate can be released, and it will come towards the blood, and the calcium and phosphorus, now it is ready to go further. Again, if we'll see from the kidney, so it can be get converted into the 125 dihydroxy vitamin D, and within it can be get converted to the next into the 24 hydroxydase, and finally it will get converted into the calcitropic acid and urine, and some part out of this will transfer towards the intestine, and through intestine, again there is role of the pituitary gland, it allows, it increases the release, or it will do the absorption of that calcium from the intestine. Again, from this intestine through the blood, that calcium and phosphorus absorption will be increased, and this absorption, due to this absorption, this calcium and phosphorus will go into the blood, and these blood vessels are rich in calcium and phosphorus. And after this, the bone mineralization, so this calcium and phosphorus are utilized for the bone mineralization, metabolic functions, and the neuromuscular junctions. Now, vitamin D deficiency, there are various causes. For example, lack of dietary vitamin D, inadequate exposure to sunlight, intestinal malabsorption of fat, impaired hydroxylation due to hepatic and renal disease. Mechanism, the lack of vitamin D impairs mineralization of growing skeleton. There are various signs of deficiency. For example, rickets from the childhood, the bone softening and weakness of bones is going to be developed. Osteomalacia, it continues in adulthood also, and hypocalcemic atony. So in this patient there are three signs and symptoms of this deficiency. Now here you can see how the condition is going to be developed into the children. So that first is bow legs. Bow legs is nothing but the when there is too much gap between the two knees. So when you will stand up on the leg, uh, if both the feet are come closer, still there is sufficient gap between two elbows, so two knees. So that typical condition is called as bow legs. Next is lumbar lordosis. So in that condition, if you'll see, so this is the vertebra. So at this lumbar vertebra, at L4, L5, so there is extra curvature occurs. Normally here the curve is there, but in the deficiency of vitamin D in rickets like condition, the extra curve will be developed, and that leads into the extra gap between the buttocks and this vertebral column. So extra C-shaped curve has been developed. If you will see that person by side angle, so extra C angle will be developed. So in this fashion, these are the effects which can be occur on the person who is having deficiency of vitamin D. Thoracic changes in rickets. Deformation of chest result from the overgrowth of cartilage or osteoid tissue at the costochondral junctions, producing the rachitic rosary. The weakened metaphyseal areas of the ribs are subject to pull of respiratory muscle and thus bend inward, creating anterior protrusion of the sternum. It is also called as pigeon-based deformities. So, in that condition, so you can see this in this figure. Again, Harrison-Sulcus horizon grooves along lower the border of thorax. So in that pigeon breast deformity or rachitic rosary, so this is the one of the example of that rachitic rosary or that pigeon like disease. So here the deeper grooves has been developed in between the ribs and the cartilage and the mass in this area is going to be decreased, and due to which the grooves has been occurred, and also the difference between the ribs has been increased, and distinct grooves you will find here. Skull changes during the non-ambulatory stage of infancy. The head and chest sustain the greatest stresses. The softened occipital bones may become flattened, and the parietal bones can be buckled inward by pressure. With the release of pressure, elastic recoil snaps the bones back into the original positions. So that typical condition is called as craniotapes. Especially in this case, the softening and weakening of the bones of skull, especially occipital and parietal lobe, or that typical bones of that parietal and occipital bone is going to be softened, or it become too much smooth that if you will touch or press that bone from the upper side, it will fall down. So that condition is called as craniotapes. An excess of osteoid produces frontal bossing and squared appearance of the head. Morphology of rickets. Vitamin D deficiency in both rickets and osteomalacia results in excess of unmineralized matrix. The following sequence occurs in rickets: overgrowth of epiphyseal cartilage due to inadequate provisional calcification and failure of the cartilage cells to mature and disintegrate. The persistence of distorted irregular masses of cartilage which projects into the marrow cavity. The deposition of osteoid matrix on inadequately mineralized cartilaginous remnants. Disruption of the orderly replacement of cartilage by osteoid matrix with enlargement and lateral expansion of the osteochondral junctions, and the abnormal overgrowth of capillaries and fibroblasts in the disorganized zone resulting from microfracture and the stresses on the inadequately mineralized weak poorly formed bone. The deformation of skeleton due to the loss of structural rigidity of the developing bones. Here in this diagram, you can see how the normal costochondral junction has been developed. So, of the young child, illustrating formation of cartilage palisades and the orderly transition from cartilage to new bones. Details of rachitic costochondral junction in which the palisades of cartilage is lost. Darker trabeculae are well formed bone. Paler tuberculi consist of uncalcified osteoids. Vitamin C deficiency causes dietary lack of fresh fruits and vegetables. Mechanism: impaired collagen synthesis. Vitamin C is needed for collagen synthesis and collagen cross linking and tensile strength. Vitamin C deficiency lead to the development of scurvy and characterized by the bone disease in growing children and by hemorrhages and healing defects in both children and adults. Vascular pattern, gingival bleeding. So there is bleeding from the gums will occur, and patechi and the ecchymosis. So ecchymosis is nothing but the due to the bruises or due to the damage to the blood vessels nearby your affected area. So due to that bleeding, the color of that typical skin has been changed, means discoloration of the that typical skin. That typical condition is called as ecchymosis. And patechi is nothing but the red patches are there, it is nothing but the patechi. The skeletal changes, soft bones growth retardation, means bones become soft and growth retardation will occur. And delayed wound healing, it also affects on the wound healing. Here you can see, so from the skin, if wound is there, it is very difficult to do healing. And again from the gums, the bleeding will occur. So it occurs due to the impaired collagen formation, which occurs due to the vitamin C deficiency. So poor vessel support results in bleeding tendency. So even in case of synovial joint also, so bleeding will be there. And here the other effects, impaired wound healing. So wound healing can be affected. And here in the osteoblast, so osteoid matrix is there, so inadequate synthesis of osteoid is going to be there. List of deficiency of essential minerals. So iron. So in case of iron deficiency, it can be get converted into the microcytic hypochromic anemia. It is nothing but the when the RBC is developed smaller than the normal size. So that condition is called as microcytic. And hypochromic means if their color is paler than the normal, if they are faint red color or they are pinkish color, so it is nothing but the hypochromic anemia. So due to which the RBC size will be small and the color will be also dull, due to which the anemia like condition will develop. Iodine deficiency, which leads into the hypothyroidism, goiter, growth retardation. Copper deficiency may lead to neuromuscular disorders. Zinc deficiency are responsible for acrodermatitis enteropathica, which means rash around the eye, mouth, nose, and anus. Infertility, growth retardation, anorexia, and diarrhea. Fluoride deficiency may lead into the dental caries. And selenium deficiency are responsible for Cushion disease, which leads into the congestive cardiac failure or cardiomyopathy or cardiomegaly, means there is enlarged size of heart. Or it is also combination of dietary deficiency of selenium and presence of mutated strains of Coxsackie B virus. So that virus, along with the deficiency of this selenium, they are producing the disease like Cushion disease, and which is very dangerous, life threatening, which may develop into the condition like cancer or hypertension or stroke. They are also able to develop the congestive cardiac failure or myocardial ischemia, myocardial infarctions. So in this way, we have discussed the various deficiencies and their diseases. So my dear students, in this fashion we have completed this part. If you have any doubt, you can ask me questions. Okay, thanks a lot for hearing me.